Greetings to you, traveler. I am the modern druid, and welcome to this fifth concept of the delirium. This time, we're going to talk about the concept of symbolic misery. This concept was forged by Bernard Stiegler and, according to the Ars Industrialis glossary written by Victor Petit, symbolic misery is defined as the loss of individuation, resulting from the loss of participation in the production of symbols. It is the diminishment of intellectual and sensory life in individuals. In other words, symbolic misery is what occurs within biotechno-sociological individuation, when biological individuals lose technical competences and see their participation in intellectual and social life decline. The outsourcing of knowledge to technical systems deprives individuals of their ability to create and engage with symbols, thus distancing them from cultural life. This loss of symbolic participation may have started with automation in factories, with the proletarianization of know-how. But it especially became widespread with what Nicholas Donin and Bernard Stiegler called the machinic turn of sensibility. The machinic turn of sensibility refers to the arrival, in the 19th century, of photography and audio recording technologies. With mechanical image and sound capture, it became possible to create images without knowing how to draw or paint, and hear music without knowing how to play. Our sensory experiences are, after those technical developments, mainly mechanized. These new technologies, photography, phonography, and cinema, brought new ways of perceiving, producing works of art, and sharing sensation. But the economic models that developed around them in the 20th century led to massification of behavior, cultural passivity, the transformation of active citizens into passive consumers. Analog mass broadcasting technologies, radio and television, caused a form of symbolic passivity that generalized into symbolic misery. The industrial production of culture externalizes symbolic practices. People started watching TV instead of talking with neighbors, eating prepackaged meals instead of cooking, listening to music instead of playing it. Symbolic misery is thus directly linked to proletarianization, through the outsourcing of actions and the reduction of participation, leading to the loss of knowledge. And the drives diseconomy, because individuals can no longer channel their impulses through symbolic acts and shared cultural works. And this is perhaps why symbolic misery is so painful. Because when drives are not sublimated, when we do not express and transform our inner impulses, we suffer. We may even become violent, toward others or toward ourselves. Lack of participation in symbolic and social life makes people deeply unhappy. Lastly, let's remind that TV and radio themselves are not inherently bad. They could be cultural tools. What caused the problem was the economic model that developed around them. It was the choice, conscious or not, of a small and supposed elite to use the media as a commercial weapon for massive enrichment that ultimately devastated the intellectual and cultural life of Western countries. Media-produced symbolic misery erodes the individuation of millions. And it is also closely tied to the ecological crisis. We are prisoners of a consumer society, designed by and for bourgeois elites who, ultimately, and beyond the discourse on freedom and free will, control our lives. That said, this media-produced symbolic misery may be evolving. With the digitization of society, and the rise of networked cultural industries, namely the internet and the web, We are witnessing a renewed form of participation and maybe a rebirth of the symbolic. We'll try to study that in the next chapters.